Hello, and we are live here on the Dan and Kev's Wrestling Show. Dan is going to be with us in a few minutes, but obviously we're going to be talking about SmackDown, the NXT in your house pay-per-view. So yeah, it's going to be a fairly packed show. We are supposed to be going for an hour, might overlay, but yeah, Dan will join us when he's ready. So NXT Takeover, obviously in your house. That was the pay-per-view we're going to review. We'll do our predictions for Hell in a Cell. So, how is everyone? How everyone doing? I hope everyone's doing good. You know, we're all getting there. Raw this week had some ups and downs. A little bit of an improvement. Hang on a sec. There we are. All right, Dan.
Hey, there he is.
There we are. You all right?
I couldn't find my bloody stand, could I? I couldn't find my bloody stand. I've moved it. Oh, I'll tell you what, she's in trouble. She's in trouble. Couldn't find my stand. How you doing, mate? You
doing it in a different location. Yeah, you?
Yeah, I'm not bad, mate. I'm not bad, yeah. Yeah.
I was just telling everyone that we're doing review on NXT Takeover in your house and predictions for Hell in a Cell. So yeah, where do you want to start?
It's going to be a bit of a packed show, I think, isn't it?
Yeah. Where do you want to start?
Let's go with Takeover in your house. I think that'd be a good place to start.
Yeah, that was last Sunday, and I think all but one of our predictions come true, and that was we wanted Cameron Grimes to win the $1 million belt, but that didn't happen. But apart from that, we were actually pretty spot on with our predictions. So
yeah, and to be fair, we did both say as well that it was completely 50-50. We didn't know who was going to win. We just went with who we wanted rather than, you know.
Yeah. We like you're saying, we were completely 50-50 on that. So
I mean, I think the way they've done it, to be fair, is perfect. I mean, the way that's a proper story. This now, like the way they've done it is absolutely brilliant. You know, the LA Knight. It was a great ladder match as well. It was an absolutely fantastic ladder match, and I think what I like now is what I was worrying about. I mean, I was saying to you as soon as we spoke about it after we'd watched it was. I honestly felt like, because I love Grimes, you love Grimes, I felt like they were just. It felt like they're using Grimes as a stepping stone for other superstars, and I felt like Cameron Grimes is better than that, and that's how it felt again. Again, he's got a great character. He's great on the mic. He's solid in the ring. Let's use him to push other people, and I'm happy that they've give LA Knight a big win at a pay-per-view. But they did manage to keep both strong by giving them both a brilliant match, and then now. Cameron's obviously come out to protect Ted DiBiase. So it's actually worked out perfect for us as Cameron Grimes fans, because now moving forward, Cameron Grimes is going to be the babyface and LA Knight's now the heel in that rivalry. So I'm interested to see where they take that.
Yeah. So I think we're going to see like a good rivalry here, but that including the $1 million belt, which is going to be quite good. Yeah. So I think we need to discuss like the main event, because that was insane. Because go on.
Well, go on. I'll let you take the lead.
Yeah. So I always thought that it was going to be sort of that Killian Cross was going to take out or pin Johnny Gargano, but the way they did it, where Kyle O'Reilly was choking out Adam Cole, and then he was then choking him out as well. It happened very quickly, but there was action in the ring. There was action. It was insane. It was a proper good main event. It had everything going on.
Yeah, I agree. Do you know what I love? and people, I don't know. I mean, what do you think of Cross? Do you like him? Do you think? Do you look at him and think, wow, he's gonna like be
He
like right at the top for years to come?
he looks it, doesn't he? He looks it, and he's got the in ring ability. He's got the promos. He's the whole. I mean, we've talked about this before. He's got the whole package. He looks good.
Mm.
He's good on the mic. He's good in the ring. He's got Scarlett as well, which brings that sort of like that managerial role as well. Though I can see her
Yeah.
eventually breaking off on her own. So I don't know whether that's a good thing or not. I think he needs her.
Yeah, and see, they are engaged in real life as well. So, and he was on, Carrion was on the After the Bell podcast 2 weeks ago, and he said that Scarlett hasn't actually been in the ring at all for like 8 years. So
Right.
I don't know whether she wants to actually wrestle. I mean, she's still young. She's still, I think she's only 25, 26. So
Yeah.
of course things might change. You might think, "Do you know what, I want to do this now." But yeah, it is a good point because I think he does need it. I think for me, a lot of people don't like Cross. I think they didn't like the way he came in and was instantly given the
Yeah.
NXT title. And I
Yeah.
get that. I do get that. I mean, I'm a massive Ciampa fan. So the fact that Karrion Kross's first victim was Ciampa and he walked through him in about 3 minutes,
Yeah.
even me, and I straight away I was like, I love Cross, but there's something that doesn't quite feel right with him beating Ciampa so easily. I weren't keen
Yeah.
on that, but for me, I said to you many, many times in the past, when I watch Karrion Kross, I get this feeling that he is the real life version of Gerard Butler in 300.
Yeah.
It's that's the feeling I get from him, and I think in that match, what they did really cleverly was Karrion Kross's style is so different to the other four
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
it was so aesthetically pleasing when you're watching it, because you're watching Cole and O'Reilly and Gargano and Dunn. They were all like athletically, they're all geniuses. The things that they can do are incredible. So they're doing all the fast-paced stuff and bouncing off the ropes and the incredible high-flying stuff. And then Cross just comes in with just a straight right hand, bang, 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 you're four gone. I
Yeah.
like the mash of styles, and I think what worked really well is that kind of he's just he's a mountain, isn't he? He looks like an
Yeah.
animal, and he wrestles like you can't beat him. You know,
Yeah.
you can do all your flips and your high flying stuff, but when I smash you in the mouth with my right hand, and then I wrap my arm around your neck, that's it. It's done. Game over.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. Because yeah, he's just built right. It's worth noting that rumors came out. I think it was on Saturday that him, Bronson Reed, and Tommaso Ciampa were backstage at SmackDown this week,
Ooh,
having
really?
discussion. Yeah, having discussions. Apparently, they were seen backstage, having discussions. So, could this be a sign of them moving up?
Interesting. What?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you make of that? That's interesting because two of
Oh
those
dear.
three, two of those three are champions.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And we've all seen the comments that Tommaso Ciampa's made. I mean, I don't think Vince McMahon was best pleased with Tommaso Ciampa's comments about a year ago when he was asked, "Do you think now's time for you to step up to Raw or SmackDown?" And he basically said, "The day I'm not on NXT is the day that I hang it up and retire."
Yeah.
Like I'm NXT, and if they want to move me up to Raw or SmackDown, I'll politely say no and retire. So, um, yeah, really interesting. I mean, I think Ciampa would be. I think Ciampa on SmackDown will work really well. I think Bronson Reed be a little bit strange moving him up now, given the fact they've just given him the North American title. That'd be a bit odd.
Yeah.
But Karrion Kross, as much as I think he's ready, I would have him. I I would like to see him on NXT for a little bit longer. But to be fair, you made a good point on last Sunday's show, because you said if he beats all four of these outright, which he did, and to be fair, he basically took out two at the same time. He basically took out Colin O'Reilly at the exact same time. So And you made the point. He's already took out Keith Lee, and obviously Keith Lee then went up. He's already taken out Finn Balor numerous times. Now he's taken out probably all four of the people that you would put him up against.
Yeah.
Who's next? You know,
Well,
I'm sorry to sound like Goldberg, but who's next?
yeah. Well, this is it because I mean that's why he came out and he was like belittling Regal on NXT, weren't he? He was saying, "Well, go on then, off you go then, but before you go, you tell me that I am the best." And then obviously Samoa and Joe come out. But yeah, I mean, like you're saying, it's like where does he go? I mean, what's next for Killian Cross? I don't know. Who's next for him to go up against? He can turn around and say, "Well, I've beaten all you lot."
And I think everyone else that's on the NXT roster, when you look at them, you don't look at them and think get them in a rivalry with Cross.
Yeah, yeah. I'd like saying I don't know. I just don't know who would. I don't. I don't know who would fit well with him and do a long enough, a long enough program for him. I just don't know. This is maybe why they put the five of them together in a match because they're not entirely sure what to do with him. Now he's champion. And by putting all the five of them, I suppose that's not built up in. There was no real build up for that match. It was just there was a lot of conflict between some of the characters in that match, but there was no real reason to stick them all together in the top flight. Pete Dunne is probably the only one I reckon that could have them going forward, because I don't see any of the rest of them. Yeah. But yeah, it's just I would like Pete Dunne to be NXT champion. I think that's their end goal. And if they do that and they put the belt on him, then obviously Cross will just come up. But yeah.
Yeah, do you know what? I've been thinking about it while you were talking there, and I think you're right. I think what would make more sense for Cross now, and again, those people that didn't like him coming in and winning the belt so quickly will probably hate this as well. But when you've got a superstar that's that good, you've got to push them because he has everything. Yeah. He's amazing in the ring. He's actually not bad on the mic. I know Scarlett's does a lot of his talking for him, but when it's like man versus man, when someone like steps to him and someone starts challenging him, he will snatch that mic off her and he'll speak himself. But I think it's the way that he looks. It's more his character. When you look at him, he's made for headlining Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
And I think what better way of showcasing just how much of an animal he is than by going, he's come into NXT, won the belt in a matter of weeks, unfortunately injured himself, came back, won the belt back, dominated everyone in his field, and then he's gone, well, there's nothing else for me now, so I'm going to relinquish the NXT title, and I'm going to go up to Raw and dominate there as well.
Yeah. Well, Raw needs something.
That's the only thing that kind of makes sense.
Because we were talking, weren't we? It's like, well, after Hell in a Cell, who is in that title picture? So maybe we will get some surprises at Hell in a Cell. Talking about that actually. Well, what do we think of SmackDown this week?
Confused, I think, is the best word that I can describe for SmackDown.
The Hell in a Cell match was actually really good. I really enjoyed that Hell in a Cell match.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I was a bit annoyed. You're gone.
No, go on. You carry on.
Yeah, I was a bit annoyed with the ad breaks. That frustrated me, considering as well how brutal Ray was really going for Reigns, and then with the chair on his throat and then pushing him into the cage. That was like, that was mad. And it's also really strange to think that this was the first time Rey Mysterio had ever been in a Hell in a Cell match. And I was like, I had to go and check that myself because I was like, surely he's been in one before. And he hadn't. That's his first time ever. in a Hell in a Cell match. That was crazy to just think of that. But yeah,
And even crazier that they moved it from Hell in a Cell pay-per-view to
yeah,
SmackDown, especially when nothing happened. That's what I mean. We was confused when we were speaking about it a few days ago, but I'm even more confused now because we were saying something's got to happen. Um,
interfere or
someone's got to
something.
interrupt that match or like come out after the match. And I thought that there was because he attacked Ray again after the match.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
when he picked him, I thought someone is gonna come out here. But then Paul Heyman said on Talking Smack, which was what really confused me, was there was no mention of Hell in a Cell.
no,
Heyman said Roman Reigns is issuing an open challenge for next Friday on SmackDown. So he's basically saying Roman's now not going to be on the Hell in a Cell pay per view.
yeah.
Why?
I don't know.
What?
I mean, I've seen them. They've been promoting Hell in a Cell. I don't know if you've seen the adverts on Facebook and stuff, but they've been promoting
Yeah,
Hell in
yeah.
a Cell for 99p.
It's to get as many people watching in it.
Almost like they're trying to give it away. Like, you know, I don't know why they took that match off. There was no reason. There was no reasoning behind it. Why take it off? There was no reason, unless there's something happening at Hell in a Cell. But like you're saying, Paul Heyman said that he's doing an open challenge for the Universal title next week on SmackDown, and anyone can come. Anyone. He said from Raw, SmackDown, anyone. NXT. He said anyone. It's open to everyone. So yeah, it just seems a bit strange that that obviously means that he won't be at Hell in a Cell, but there may be, I don't know. You know, it could be anything, couldn't it? Really?
I have been thinking about it, and I've only come up with one idea. There's only one thing I can think of.
Yeah.
This is the last pay per view before fans are back in
Yeah.
arenas,
Yeah.
and it's all obviously being shot in a very enclosed, you know, where they've been filming the Performance Center stuff, where they've been
Yeah.
taking Raw and SmackDown for months now. And I think it's a much smaller arena than what obviously they'll be going to when fans are back. The only thing I can think of is Roman's worried about COVID because of his leukemia, and he's thought, I don't want to be in a small space with so many of the different superstars, because everyone will be there because it's a pay per view, and maybe he's thought, can we move it to SmackDown because I'm a little bit worried. Whereas like at SummerSlam, that's a massive open arena where there's going to be, I think there's like 80,000 people or something.
Well, actually, yeah. The next pay per view is Money in the Bank. That's the next pay per view.
SummerSlam after that.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean,
so
would you keep
quite close together then there, isn't there?
Well, yeah. I mean, would you keep him off until SummerSlam, or would you just like on next Friday? Some people have said on the group as well. Actually, they reckon like Cesaro or someone like that will issue the open challenge, and will that lead then to a program for Money in the Bank, and then something will happen at Money in the Bank, and then that will go on to SummerSlam.
Yeah, but again, I mean, I agree with that, but again, it doesn't explain why move it from Hell in a Cell to SmackDown. Him and Ray.
There's no explanation whatsoever. There's nothing. There's no reason behind that.
No. Yeah, to be fair, and apart from the Hell in a Cell match, which was really good, I don't think there was anything else that was like really that interesting. I mean, I think it was good to see Commander Aziz do something with Apollo. I mean, we were talking the other day about almost not only having 3 moves and not being able to move. Well, Aziz is very, very different. He can move for a big guy, and he looks very, very good. I'm looking forward to seeing more of him. I would like to see a little bit more of Sami Zayn, and we've spoken about Sami Zayn that much. I think both of us are getting bored of saying the same thing about him. Turning back babyface his entrance music, the involvement that he has with the fans. As soon as his music hits, everyone's on the feet, dancing and singing along. But everyone loves him. Turning back, babyface. You know, Nat, my fiance, had a really good idea. She said, "Do you know what I'd love? I would love if there was actually a conspiracy against him.
Yeah. Well, he's doing
If it wasn't him being mad."
He's doing this documentary, and WWE have said that they are going to play this documentary on the network, and he's going to say, and it's going to be, I mean, that is probably the most interesting thing, because he's been doing this whole conspiracy documentary, and he keeps saying when it comes out, and WWE have said it will be out on the network. But you're right. I'm wondering whether they're going to stick little bits in there. So there was a conspiracy. Yeah. So we as fans are going to watch it and go, oh, look, there's no conspiracy there. Or some of us will be like, oh my God, look, they did this and they did that. Maybe there is something to this.
What I would like is there to be like, you know, footage and stuff of him being screwed up. So I've let Adam Pearce. I've had Adam Pearce on the phone to someone saying, let's take Sammy in a match against him, because let's screw him over. It'd be funny.
Yeah.
You know, let's. And I'd like Owens to watch it and him go to Zayn and be like, I'm sorry, I was wrong. I didn't believe you. And then that could rekindle that friendship. But that's the easiest way to turn Sammy back face.
There is something else worth mentioning. Now, do you remember when the hacker thing was going on with obviously Arnie? And he said they shot a lot of hacker segments with him hacking people's or hacking video cameras and things like that. And he said obviously they never used that then when he went to Retribution, and they changed it a little bit. But he did actually mention, I think it was on a podcast he was on or on Instagram, he did actually mention that they are going to use some of that footage that they shot the hacker segment for, and they never used. They're actually going to use that. But he never said what for or what purpose. I'm wondering whether they're going to use it on that documentary.
That'd be cool.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
Like, you know, sort of hidden camera stuff and that he's got hold of. Someone hands him a tape, and he's like, "Oh, what's this? You'll need to watch it." And you put it on, and it's people talking about him or something. That'd be quite cool.
Yeah, I think they need to do something with Sammy, and I think they have to turn him back babyface. Don't get me wrong, I think he plays his heel character really well. I think he suits being a babyface better purely because of how much the fans love him.
Yeah.
I think everyone would enjoy him a bit more with him as a babyface.
Yeah, definitely.
And but apart from that, on SmackDown, there wasn't really anything that happened that was interesting. I mean, the only other thing that was quite interesting was it now looks like Jimmy has now joined Roman, which I think is what we all wanted anyway, because the three of them, Jimmy, Jay, and Roman, who's beating them?
Well, that's it, exactly. Yeah, I mean, they already teased this a while ago before Jimmy come back. They already teased that they were going to be a tag team. He even mentioned, didn't he, that years ago when they were kids, they used to form a triple team, and they were called Triple Threat. And I thought that was a really cool name, and I thought that could be their name going forward if they decide to go that way. But it looks like they're going to have like this sort of trio of the three of them, and Triple Threat sounds really cool, like as a tag team.
They're going to have a trio of Samoan badasses, is what they're going to have.
Yeah, it's good going forward. But yeah, I was saying like you had Bayley getting the upper hand on Bianca. You know, we'll talk about the Hell in a Cell in a minute, but yeah, there was that segment. Then there was the throwaway segment of Otis beating Dawkins, and there was just nothing. I didn't really understand that. I don't really know what they're doing with Otis. You know, they should have kept him with Tucker. And then they split him up, and then they literally just went, "Oh, well, who's this guy?" Or Tucker, we'll just chuck him away. And literally that's what he did. He just disappeared, and then he got released.
Yeah, there's that was really, really odd because Heavy Machinery were good and they were an interesting tag team and they were a good tag team, but they've done that a lot. I mean, the most, and this is meaning no disrespect, the most interested us as fans have been in Otis and Mandy Rose was when they was in that Love story.
Yeah,
It's the most interesting they've been in the career. And Otis and Tucker had a great relationship. You could see the friendship coming across on camera. And then they moved Mandy to Raw, but they split up Mandy from the tag team with Sonya, and I get that because of obviously what happened with Sonya and someone breaking into a house. But then
yeah,
they then stuck Mandy with Dana Brooke, which didn't make much sense when she was just in a better tag team on SmackDown. And they
yeah,
split up Otis and Tucker and then stuck Otis with Chad Gable. And it's like, but Heavy Machinery was already a ready-made tag team. Why are you taking one part of a tag team and sticking them with someone else? I mean, they did it with the Iconics. They
yeah.
basically split them up, and then they stuck Billy Kay with the Riot Squad, and they stuck Peyton Royce with, was it I can't remember, was it Naomi or someone like that,
You know,
Natalia?
yeah.
But
And it,
again,
I'm,
they split up an already made tag team and then formed, just stuck him in another tag team. It didn't make any sense and didn't work.
it's because what happened was, I think they were quite high on Peyton Royce. It came out that
Yeah,
they were really good on there. And then what happened was she had a singles match, and they immediately went off her after this single match. They went, "Oh no, 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 we changed our mind." But at that point, they'd already split up the Iconics, and then they sort of just didn't know what to do with her. Then they were like, "Oh, we're going to give her a singles push," and then, but then lots of people were saying you could have done that still and still kept them a tag team. You could have still pushed Peyton Royce as a single competitor and
yeah,
still kept him as the Iconics. You could have given her like you could have given the other one. My mind's gone. But you could have given
Billy
her
Kay.
like the manager. Yeah, you could have given her the manager role and
Yeah,
her, or as a cheerleader role, cheering her friend on
yeah,
to win and stuff. Or even still, you could even have turned it so instead of being, because that's what they were heels, weren't they? So
yeah.
she could like swip their leg or something like that as they're on the ropes, or put her
Mm.
leg on the rope so it's on the rope. It worked. There was no need for them to be taken apart. There was no need, absolute no need.
No, I agree. I think what was difficult um, with the Iconics, and I know a lot of people like them. I was never a fan of them. I I think in WWE we need more humor. How many times have me and you said this? We need more
Yeah,
humor and entertainment because one of my favorite wrestlers to watch and who I really am desperate to get a push is Ricochet. I mean, when you've got Rey Mysterio saying that the best he's ever been in the ring with is Ricochet. Wow. I mean,
yeah,
there is no better compliment than that. Ricochet in the ring is one of the best wrestlers you will ever see. The things he can do are mind blowing, but he has no personality and no promo skills.
yeah,
And that's the problem. With the Iconics, I'm all for like R-Truth. I mean, R-Truth's one of few people that have actually made Randy Orton break character and Brock Lesnar break character live on air because he's just so funny.
yeah,
But he can actually wrestle as well.
yeah,
Kevin Owens is hilarious, but he can wrestle as well. So the Iconics and the gimmick that they had, they couldn't wrestle. But now, granted, Peyton Royce was better. I don't think Peyton Royce was anywhere near good enough to be a singles competitor. I don't think she was anywhere near good enough. Billy Kay, bless her, I don't think she can wrestle at all. She was awful. She was clumsy when she was doing her attacking moves, and she's probably the worst sellers I've ever seen. And that's saying something because there's been some bad ones over the years. But
yeah,
if you could have mixed the two of them, if you could have had Peyton Royce's in ring, ability, but Billy Kay's personality, that'd have been a fantastic female superstar. But unfortunately, Peyton Royce was better in the ring, but dull and boring, no character. But Peyton Royce was actually the really interesting one. Like when they split them up, you'd watch Peyton Royce matches and go, well, she's a decent enough worker, you know, she can kind of sell and moves look all right. The facials were always irritating, but that's just personal preference. Her voice went through me, again, personal preference. But she could actually wrestle, whereas Billie Kay couldn't. But after they split them up, when we had Billie backstage trying to hand out a CV to people, I was in bits laughing every time.
And she'd come out to the ring and everything.
Well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like she'd just walk out as someone's music was it, and she's landed on the CV going, if you just read here, you've seen I've done this. It was brilliant. It was funny. It was entertaining, and she was really, really good at getting her character across. And she actually turned people like me who weren't a fan of her into a bit of a fan of her. Like I wanted to see more of her, but in that role, like you were saying, she should have been a manager for Peyton. That would have worked better because Billie was better with the promos and was better at getting her personality across to the fans. But Peyton was the talent. So having Billie as Peyton's manager would have made so much more sense. But they decided to split them up and stick them in separate tag teams. But they've done that now. I'd say over the last 3 or 4 years, they're just constantly doing this. They're breaking up tag teams, and then they're just sticking them straight with someone else. And it's like, but they were already in a tag team that's better than this. I don't get it. It'd be like in the '90s splitting up Matt and Jeff Hardy and sticking Jeff with Edge and Matt with Christian. Right, you're 2 different tag teams now.
Well, they did do that. If you watch, Raw or SmackDown 2003 when they were split, Matt and Jeff were obviously on Raw and SmackDown. Jeff was on Raw and Matt was on SmackDown, and they stuck them with different people. They did the same with the Dudley Boys as well. So they split the Dudley Boys up in the first ever draft, and Devon went to SmackDown, who he eventually teamed with Batista, who then went back to Raw. But yeah, they teamed them there, and then you had Bubba Ray, and he actually teamed for a while with Jeff Hardy on Raw. So it was like, well, they've split them up, but they just stuck them back together again because there was like during that year there was lots of talks going on, and then they swapped some superstars over, and Devon come back to Raw and teamed with obviously Bubba Ray. So it was a bit weird. Why did they split them up in the first place?
Yeah, because us as fans just say no. We want the Dudley Boys, the Hardy Boys, and Edge and Christian. You know, yeah. I mean, obviously sometimes it's screaming out for it. So obviously they split up the New Day and they sent Kofi and Xavier to Raw and left Biggie on SmackDown, and that made sense because he was ready for his singles push.
Yeah.
It was kind of too good to be the third man in.
The thing is with that split was they've not actually split up, have they? Because when they're together, obviously Big E still comes out with them and vice versa. So they haven't really split them up, which is a good idea. They haven't split the tag team up. They've just moved one, haven't they? They've just moved one over.
Yeah, they've allowed one to show what he's capable of doing as a singles competitor, but without actually splitting them up. Yeah, I think they've done that really well.
Yeah,
but
I mean, he should. I think he should go back to like the Biggie Langston. Do you remember when he was Biggie Langston? He had a challenge, didn't he? I think it was on NXT. He had the 5 count challenge. So he said that he could pin anyone, and they had to pin him in 5 counts, didn't they? So instead of the normal 3 pin, it was 5. And I thought that was really cool. He was able to go out and destroy a person and cover them for 5 counts, sort of thing. And I thought that if he brought that back, that would be really good. If you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean it'd be a way of showcasing just how ridiculously freakishly powerful he is.
Yeah, because that's what he was originally. He came along and he used to put what was it, chalk on his hands. He used to come out and do the chalk on his hands, and then he used to come to the ring. But yeah, I think it was in NXT. I think they dropped it when he come to the main roster. But in NXT, I remember him doing the 5 count challenge where he would pin someone for a 5 count. and I thought that was pretty cool because that was like sort of, it's taking it a little bit further, isn't it? It's saying instead of just a 3 count, I can beat you in a 5 count longer. I can keep you pinned longer, sort of thing. I thought that's something that maybe they might need to redo again because I think that's quite good. Can you beat?
Yeah, I agree.
Could he beat Sami Zayn by 5 count, stuff like that?
Well, to be honest, the way things are going for Sammy, I think Lana would pin Sami Zayn for a 5 count the way that WWE are treating him.
Yeah,
To be honest, but yeah, like, and that's why people like Big E will always remain successful because they have something up there.
yeah,
They just created geniuses. I've not watched it all, but me and Nat was watching a bit of Chris Jericho on Stone Cold Broken Skull sessions on WWE Network.
yeah,
I've not watched all of it, but we just got up to the part where he just left WCW, and he said something that is like, and that is why you'll go down as one of the greatest minds in wrestling history. He knew that WCW was going to shit all over him, that they were going to make him look as bad as possible, and it got to the point where Bischoff actually said, "Look, we're going to have to just keep him off TV for a couple of weeks," and them keeping him off TV just made everything worse. And then he eventually obviously signed to WWE. But he said
yeah,
something that has to make you go, "You're a genius," and this is why you will go down as one of the greatest of all time because
yeah,
he's so inventive. Like the whole list thing. I mean, he pitched that idea years earlier to Vince that
yeah,
he wanted to have Kevin Owens as his best friend. He wanted to have come out and add people to his list, and then eventually Owens would turn on him and eventually lead into a big pay per view where Owens would beat him. He, he had it all in his head, and it took him ages for Vince to actually sign off on it. And to be honest, that's one of the best stories that WWE have had in years, in my opinion, was the
yeah.
Jericho and Owens thing. And we all know how that turned out. How Vince let Jericho
Okay.
go so easily by doing him the way that they did, shocking. But he said that when he was on WCW, he said it doesn't matter what you do. You could have me. You could say to me, right, I want you to go out and lose to an absolute nobody that no one's heard of in 30 seconds because they wanted to make Jericho look bad because of how outspoken he was. And he said, I don't care. I will come out with a stupid cap on, with a boombox on my shoulder, and I'll wear a T-shirt that says Jericho 0 and 10. And then when I lose, I'll come up with a cast saying 0 and 11. But what I'll do, I'll do something that makes the audience and the fans remember me because I'll come out and they'll go, look at this idiot dancing down with a boombox and he's got a T-shirt on taking the mick out of himself, saying
Yeah,
that he can't win a match even against people that he's never heard of. But it didn't matter what WCW did to him. He was going to do something. As long as they kept him on TV, he'd get a T-shirt made. He'd create a stupid outfit. He'd do something in a match that would get a reaction out of the fans. Didn't matter what they did. They had to keep him off TV because he would just keep coming up with ideas to gain himself attention that
yeah,
WCW didn't want him to have. And that's what has made him one of the best of all time because he can come up with something that will work in a situation where he's not being treated fairly. And we all know that he wasn't being treated fairly towards the end of his run in WWE. So this is why he came up with the list thing. He constantly reinvented himself and kept himself relevant. And there's only a very few amount of people that, in my opinion, have been able to do that, to can constantly reinvent themselves and keep themselves relevant over a
yeah.
20, 30-year period.
Undertaker.
Yeah, Undertaker was he knew that it weren't going stale, but people were getting a bit bored of the dead man. That of course his entrance is cool as a dead man, but he knew that he needed to do something different. So obviously he
That's
came up with
American
the
Badass.
American Badass. Yeah,
Yeah,
but this is why people like that. I mean, even Kane. It's why he took the mask off. It's why he then became corporate Kane. And then obviously when he'd
when he went back.
have a match, he did like sometimes put his mask on.
Yeah,
Um, you know, but Bray Wyatt again is a genius because as soon as people started getting a bit bored of the Wyatt family, it was his idea for Randy Orton to infiltrate and split them up from the inside. His idea was, the old school Bray Wyatt, the Eater of Worlds character was his idea. The Fiend, he came up with himself. Apparently, Alexa Bliss's entire character. Apparently, he's still writing parts of a script. He's still like he's texting Alexa every week saying what I want you to say this, what you to say that.
Yeah.
So there's only a very few amount of people that are capable of being able to think like that. It doesn't matter, and this is the people that end up getting and having the best careers, because it doesn't. Every superstar will go to a point where Vince will, for whatever reason, he will completely drop you. He'll go off you. He's not interested anymore. He's giving you nothing.
Yeah.
But if you can make those 2 minute matches that you have mean something and count for something and keep the fans behind you, it's impossible for eventually Vince to not go, this guy's getting a big reaction. I think we should give him a little bit more.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I think it's too easy to kind of like mope about and accept that you're not getting much TV time. Do something about it. If you're not happy not getting enough TV time, come up with something different.
Yeah. Also, as well, just going back to SmackDown. Obviously, we now have King Nakamura and no King Corbin anymore. Corbin.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't know where is Corbin going to be now. I reckon I should elevate him to the Intercontinental now, because he's getting there. But yeah, and Nakamura as well. But yeah, we now no longer have King Corbin. We now have King Nakamura.
Brilliant. It's exactly what I wanted. I actually didn't know, to be honest, Kev. I wouldn't know anything that's happening before the show unless if you didn't message me and go, "Hey, this is happening, Dan." I wouldn't have a clue, because I try and avoid all spoilers at all costs. So I never know. So, but when you told me that they were doing the whoever wins takes the crown, I thought, brilliant. You know, Nakamura needs something, and I think making him now King Nakamura will give him something. Whereas Corbin's been King Corbin now for ages, and I think it's served its purpose. But Baron's a little bit too big to like just be that now. He needs a bigger and better push, because he's one of the few that I was talking about last Sunday. There aren't many, in my opinion, who are great at both. There's a lot of people that are good at both, but I mean, he's great in the ring. He's 6'6", and he moves a lot like a bleeding cruiserweight.
Yeah.
It's so rare to have someone who you can watch and go, "Wow, this guy's impressive in the ring. What an athletic specimen this guy is," and then also be brilliant on the mic as well. And he has both, and he deserves a big push. So them taking the crown off him now. Forget King Corbin. Go back to Baron Corbin and give him a massive push, because he's earned it. He deserves. I mean, you've got to think back. Like, what is it now? 2, maybe 3 years. They put all the blame on WWE being bad on Baron Corbin, because he was the general manager or like something of that. But Triple H and Vince McMahon and Shane and Steph was happy to just have it. Of course, none of us fell for it, because we know better than that. But they wanted to make it look like the reason why Raw was so bad was because Baron Corbin was in charge, which is why Seth Rollins then turned on him. And if you think about it, he must have been happy to do that, to say, "Hey, you know, so that you're not getting so much heat, stick some of the flack onto me." And he took a bullet there for Vince and Triple H. And what thanks he got after it? Yeah, they gave him the King of the Ring win, but they've not really given him anything after that. You know, every time he's got into a rivalry with someone, he's been beat. And I think he's better than that. I think Shinsuke needed this crown to keep him relevant, and I think Baron had done everything he could do with it. I mean, me and Nat were talking 3 days ago, and I don't know your opinion on this. Do you find it interesting how King of the Ring can almost define some superstars, yet people who you straight away go, remember them winning King of the Ring, but it doesn't define them. So Stone Cold and Triple H, they won King of the Ring, but when you think of but you remember them winning it, but you don't think that's not the first thing you think of when you think of Stone Cold and Triple H. Yeah, Booker T still goes by King Booker. I
Yeah.
think there's probably kids that are younger than us that genuinely don't even know Jerry Lawler's called Jerry Lawler because he's just King.
Yeah.
You know, and it's funny, isn't it, how some people are completely defined by winning King of the Ring, and that's the one thing that they're remembered for. And then you've got other massive superstars who won it, and it's almost like you have to really think, oh yeah, they did win it.
Yeah, yeah. Really Regal won it as well.
Yeah, of course he
Yeah.
did, yeah.
Yeah, just before that was all just before NXT and all that started, just before he sort of gave it all up.
Yeah.
My daughter. Yeah, so but yeah, getting on to Hell in a Cell now.
Oh, let's go. Have we got
Yeah,
a list of the matches?
I know them. I know them off by heart. I've been looking at the stuff and that. So we've got Cesaro versus obviously Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know how that's going to go. Really, I'd like Cesaro to win because they're elevating him at the moment. Though I could also see why Seth would win as well, because then it would keep the rivalry going. I think if Cesaro wins, I reckon I could see him coming out and challenging Reigns on Friday.
Yeah, I agree.
So, but yeah, I would like Cesaro to win. I don't know. How would you feel if
difficult?
Seth won?
It's difficult because it's difficult because I think Cesaro's time needs to be now. He's waited long enough. He has earned and deserves. My God, he deserves so much more appreciation than what he gets, even from us fans.
Yeah.
The guy is a freak. He's unbelievable. For me, he's the most slept on superstar in WWE history. I don't think anyone with that much talent has ever been overlooked the way he has, because he's insane how good he is.
Yeah.
And I would love him to win. And then, yeah, I would like him to challenge Roman. I'd quite like the open challenge to be a bit of a surprise, to be someone from NXT that we're not expecting.
Yeah, maybe.
That's what I mean, everyone already is going, it's Brock, it's Brock. Sorry, guys, it ain't Brock. Because if it is Brock, then Vince is doing the opposite of what we all would expect Vince to do by knowing him so well. Because Brock Lesnar is the biggest thing that, if you're Vince McMahon, who is the biggest attraction you can bring back to elevate your numbers at the minute? It's Brock Lesnar. He's the big fish that you're going to bring back and get everyone watching again. You're not going to bring him back when there's fans back in arenas in 6 weeks' time. It makes no sense. You're going to bring Brock Lesnar back when you've got bums in seats and you've got a couple of thousand fans there, where he's going to get that pop and that reaction. That's the only thing that makes sense. But going back to Cesaro and Seth, do you think that Seth has now gone from being up there, like as high as you can get, and it feels like now he's the stepping stone? He's the guy who he isn't capable of putting on a bad match. He's so talented and so good.
Yeah.
It's impossible for him to look bad or to make somebody else look bad. It almost feels like they're using this version of Seth because his character's just silly, isn't it? He's off his head. He's mad. I mean, him and Bailey, they had a 5-minute promo, and 3 minutes of it was just doing this crazy, insane laugh at each other.
Yeah.
Like, they're both mental.
So it's worth noting that Seth Rollins put not long ago, I think it was on Twitter, that he thought it was crazy that him and Roman Reigns hadn't come to sort of something. Yeah. They're on the same show and they haven't clashed at all, and he thought that was a bit crazy that you got two ex-Shield members and they haven't had any interaction at all, and they're on the same show. He said that. I thought that was crazy, and he put that. So maybe we're going to see something coming up with him, maybe with Roman.
That'd be really cool. I think I would give it Cesaro now. If you're not bringing anyone up from NXT or whatever, anything like that, give it Cesaro now, and then like you said, have him come out and then maybe further. Because as much as I'd love Cesaro to be champion, because I really like him, I can't see Cesaro being the guy to beat Reigns. Whereas
Yeah,
maybe if they change Seth's character and kind of bring him back as the burn it down Seth, you can see him beating Roman.
yeah.
But yeah, what's your thoughts on that? Do you look at Seth now and think they're now using Seth as a way of pushing other
Yeah.
talent? So
It's,
he's got beat by Bryan, he's got beat by Cesaro. Do you think they're looking at him and going, "You're
yeah.
now just a stepping stone for other people"?
Do you ever watch the you know the little bits that come up at the side when on their entrance that tells them their name
Yeah.
and how many times? You know, one of his greatest accomplishments were when it comes up, right, and you read it, it says greatest accomplishment, marrying Becky Lynch. I was like, has it really come that bad? That his memorable contribution to WWE and wrestling is he's married to Becky Lynch. That is like what? Why have you even put that on there? It's not him winning the WWE title, Intercontinental title, or anything like that. It's him marrying Becky Lynch.
Yeah,
What?
it's not him selling probably the best RKO of all time. It's not him then later that night, cashing in the most memorable cashing in WrestleMania history. Wow, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, I don't. I'd like to see that happen between them two. But yeah, the next match I want to say, which is for me, it's a filler match because that's what it is, and that is obviously Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte.
Yeah.
I don't see Rhea title. It's just a filler match. I don't. I've like you were saying last week. I've completely gone off Rhea Ripley because I don't know what they're doing with her, and and Charlotte as well. I mean, they just don't know what to do with them. And yeah, this one could just be. I mean, they could even put it on the pre-show, and I don't think it would generate anything. You know what I mean?
But how crazy is that? How crazy is that? Because you're absolutely right, but the fact that you're right shows how bad of a job they're doing. Because how is Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte a filler match? Because right now it is. Now, when you look back at WrestleMania 2 years ago, that was, in my opinion, the best match of WrestleMania with Charlotte versus Rhea.
Championship match, yeah.
It was that for me was the best wrestling match out of all of them. It was a fantastic match. Something has happened with all of the women at the minute because we know how good Asuka is, we know how good Rhea is, we know how good Charlotte is. Every single time I watch, and it's just them three on Raw. It's just them three. It's on a constant roundabout, and it's boring. But how are we watching Charlotte versus Asuka and going, there's a botch. Oh, there's a mistake. Oh. How is there so many problems with such talented? I don't get it because Rhea Ripley has never looked as bad and as clumsy as what she looks right now, and it can't be her because we've just seen her for the last 3-4 years destroy it on NXT UK and NXT. She doesn't have a bad match. She's come up to Raw. They've given her the title. They've changed the character to now. Is she heel? Is she a face? No one knows.
No one, no.
But it's now affecting her wrestling. I watch her matches. Her matches are boring, but they look slow. They look sluggish. It looks like she's not finding her spot. She's struggling, but Asuka's struggling. Charlotte is one of the most talented women in the world, and she's struggling. She'll do something you think, Jesus, Charlotte, that looked bad. And this never used to happen. But I'd say over the last 3 or 4 months, every single time I see one of them three in a match, something happens where you go, that was awful. And that I find that baffling given the talent. But you're absolutely right, and that's what worries me. How the hell is the match of the night from WrestleMania 2 years ago now viewed as a filler match where everyone's going, I'm not interested.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy to even like. Well, us sort of discussing that. But yeah, the next one is obviously Shayna versus um, Alexa. Um,
Yeah.
I, I think this one's. Is it going to be like a cinematic one like we've had before with her? Are we going to have a cinematic match, the last cinematic match on a pay per view? Because obviously, I don't think they can do these cinematic matches when live crowds return.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So are we going to see along those lines with her maybe? And then what happens then? I mean, it's similar to like the women's match. I mean, okay, we know probably Rhea Ripley's going to win and it's going to be a throwaway match, but then where does it go from there? And it's the same with this. So whoever wins this, if Alexa wins, where does she go from there? And if Baszler wins, where does she go from there?
I have no idea. And it's a shame because I really, really like both of them. I really like both of them. I think Alexa will carry on doing what she's doing because she's absolutely killing it. And Bray Wyatt must be proud of her, but very, very grateful because Alexa Bliss is currently keeping his entire
Yeah,
memory alive. She's keeping his entire career going
yeah,
because she's keeping him relevant while he, of course, while
yeah,
he sorts his mental health out.
yeah,
Um, but what I don't like, and I've got a question for you, Shayna Baszler,
yeah,
are her promos a mixture? Because it's definitely one of them. Are her promos so bad because it's a mixture of creative over scripting, like we know that they do, which makes everything cheesy and just a little bit cringy,
yeah.
or is it just and her promo skills not being the best and her needing a script because she can't think on her feet and be creative in the moment, or is it just creative over scripting? I don't
Um,
know with Shayna because even on NXT, I've never watched a promo and felt like that's come from the heart and that's genuine and that's her.
yeah, yeah. When she done the promos in NXT, um, she had the other girls with her, didn't she? That used to back her
Yeah,
up. But I
yeah,
never, like you were saying, I never felt like she was like behind it. You know what I mean? 100%.
yeah,
But with this time, like you're saying, I think she's a little bit more better on camera.
yeah,
But I think she doesn't know what to say. She's a bit like Seth Rollins. She needs that guidance.
yeah,
Otherwise, she doesn't really know what to say. And you can tell that when she does her promos. And it's good that Nia Jax is there because I think Nia does that well. But you
yeah.
can tell that you can sort of tell that she's been scripted to say these things because I don't think she would talk at all. I think she would. I think she looks at herself as a bit like a Goldberg figure. She's sort of jacked. She's come up. She was really good in NXT, but this time she isn't. But she's one of these people that don't want to say much, come out, destroy the opponent, and walk off and not say a thing.
So let her do that.
Yeah, yeah,
Don't don't have a talk. Do you know what, mate? I've never thought about that. Again, Kev, I say this every week. It's getting boring now, mate. Give yourself a pat on the back. You just hit the nail on the head again. Because that's what she is. She's the female Goldberg. I've never even thought about it, but that's literally what she's. Never in WWE history has anyone entered an Elimination Chamber match and eliminated all five on their own. Never been done
yeah,
before. Shane has done it. Yeah. Like, she is a legit female ass kicking machine who is capable of destroying anyone. And I think sometimes creative need to listen to the stars a little bit more because Becky Lynch has been very, very open about she knew that her and Seth wanted to start a family and were actively trying for a baby. So she said at WrestleMania, let Shayna beat me. Let Shayna beat me because I'm trying to get pregnant. Of course, it might take 12 months. We might struggle, but we are actively trying. I feel like the time is right. I will carry on, wrestling. I'll carry on doing what I'm doing until I get pregnant. But let's think for the future now. And the
yeah,
idea behind Vince was, well, you're right. You know, it might take 12 months, or this might happen, or you might change your mind, or whatever. We'll keep you as champion until you get pregnant. But then it's all rushed like it wasn't. Now, don't get me wrong. I thought it was very, very clever, and they made the best of a bad situation. And that was actually Becky Lynch's idea by having the belt inside the Money in the Bank. And Asuka wasn't winning a contract to guarantee her a shot. She was winning the actual belt. I thought that was very, very clever. Well done, Becky, because that's a fantastic idea. But Becky's original idea 2 months earlier was have let me drop the belt to Shayna and push her because she's a superstar. And I think what they've done with Shayna is the opposite of what they've done with everyone else. Everyone else they brought off from NXT, they've just buried straight away. They've just took a superstar in NXT, Aleister Black, as the best example. One of the best wrestlers that you'll see in the modern days. He's a modern wrestler, and everything he does looks pristine. And they destroyed him. His character was different and interesting, and he was great on the mic. They destroyed him. They buried him, like they've done to countless superstars. They did it with Shayna. They brought her up to Raw. They had her attack Becky Lynch when she bit her. And it was nasty as well. She then went into Elimination Chamber and became the first person in WWE history to win the Elimination Chamber, eliminating every single one of her opponents, and with ease as well. With absolute ease. She just went through everybody. But then now after that, Vince is like a yo-yo, isn't he? Like, he's hot and cold. You never, Braun Strowman, how many times on air have they had to do something to take a title shot off him because they changed their mind? I mean, I remember they was billing him to go up against Brock, and we was all like, oh, Braun, with the size of him, he could very, very easily, beat Brock. And then they had Braun lose his temper backstage, tip over Vince McMahon's limousine, and then Vince went, because you've just damaged my limousine, I'm taking your title match off you. And that's just a way of explaining why he's now no longer getting his title shot. But Vince does this a lot. He's really hot on someone, and then all of a sudden, it's like, nah. Finn Balor's another great example. Vince had been begging Triple H to have Finn for months, and then eventually they brought him up through the draft. On his first ever night on Raw, he pinned Roman Reigns, and then 3 weeks after his debut, at SummerSlam he became the first ever Universal Champion. And Vince seen Finn as the future. He wanted to give him the title and make him the future of Raw. That's how highly Vince McMahon regarded Finn Balor. That's not Finn's fault that Seth Rollins powerbombed him into a barricade a little bit too hard and destroyed his shoulder. That's not even Seth's fault. It was an accident. Finn can't help getting injured and getting hurt in a match when it's a freak accident like that. He then came back after 14, 15 months out, and what did he get? It's like he didn't. It's like he just didn't matter anymore.
Yeah, you got to think. It's amazing when you say that, and you think the first ever Universal Champion was Finn Balor. It's crazy when you say it, because you look at him now to how big he was then, and you think, what happened? What's happened there?
Kev, they made him the face of the WWE game while he was on NXT. That's never happened before, and will probably never happen again. He was the face of was it WWE 2K17?
Yeah.
He was the face of it. And he'd not even debuted on Raw yet. This was Vince seeing Finn Balor and the Demon King. This is the future. This is the guy. This is the next John Cena. He's going to take over everything.
Yeah.
And because he gets injured, and not just got injured, he carried on wrestling for half an hour with one arm.
Yeah.
And he still put on an incredible match, even though he could barely lift his arm up. And for him to come back and Vince go, well, I'm not interested in it anymore. And that's how it feels with Shayna. Finn, without Shayna winning the title, that's how it feels with Shayna. But it's also how it feels with Rhea Ripley as well. It's like they come up, they have all these ideas. It's like Vince goes, nah, I'm not interested anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so the next match for Hell in a Cell is obviously Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn.
For the 15 millionth time, is it?
You know why they've stuck them together is because they don't put on a rubbish match. The two of them
Yeah,
take each other to the limit, and you can guarantee that's the match that you can always guarantee
will be good.
to steal a show or be genuinely good.
Yeah,
And yeah, I know I can see why they've done it for, like you saying, like the 500th time. But the reason I think they've done it is because I think the Hell in a Cell pay per view is a bit dull, and this will really heat up. We've seen Kevin Owens doing swanton bombs. You know, Sami Zayn really good. The both of them working together is probably, you know, it's the best wrestling match that you'll see, and they know that, and they can put it on still. At their age, they can still put that on, and I think that's why they put them together. But I can see Kevin Owens winning it just because the
yeah,
way they're pushing Kevin at the moment a little bit. So there is that match.
yeah. I agree. I think Kevin probably wins that, but again, we can't really lose because if Sammy wins, we'll be happy as well. Um,
Yeah,
maybe it is actually time for a Sami Zayn win though, because the last few times they have wrestled, Kevin always beats him. So maybe it is time for Sammy
yeah,
to pick up a win, and he hasn't won a match in ages since he lost the Intercontinental title.
yeah. Maybe the conspiracy theory stuff will sort of manifest itself. Like you could see him wrestling in the ring, the lights going out, and then coming back, and
Yeah,
Sami Zayn's laying on the floor, and Kevin Owens pins him, and you know, he could be like, "Well, that's a conspiracy. Someone hit me. The lights went out." Um,
yeah,
yeah, and then you've also the other matches, obviously Bianca Belair versus Bailey. Like you were saying a couple of weeks ago, and you've said to me, is I don't see them dropping Bianca Belair at the moment, the title from her. Not until fans come back, at least. I think they want to keep the title on her until the fans are there. Because
yeah.
the reaction she got at WrestleMania when she won it was like mad. So I think they're going to
Yeah.
keep the title on her. So, but then again, it's that same thing, isn't it? Where who steps up after?
That for me is the problem with Bianca. With Rhea, it's very, very different on Raw because when you're watching Rhea, you almost get the idea that she's being suffocated, the way that we've seen a million times now. She's not allowed to go out and create and be expressive the way that she was on NXT. And I think that's
Yeah,
why she's struggling. I don't get that feeling with Bianca because she's still doing exactly what she was doing on NXT. The only
yeah,
difference is he's got nobody for her. She won the belt off Sasha. We haven't seen Banks since. God knows where Sasha Banks has gone. Um,
yeah,
and she then defended the title against Bailey. Now she's defending the title against Bailey again because they've not got anyone for her. We need some more talent on SmackDown. We need to bring
yeah,
you know bring a Shotzi Blackheart up
yeah,
or you know even Ember Moon. Ember Moon will put on a good match against Bianca. Bring up Gargano and his wife Candice. We need some more women on SmackDown because when me and you were saying a few weeks ago that it's getting a bit boring, now already. That it's like it's Bianca. She's already beat
yeah.
Sasha. She's already beaten Bailey, and now it's Bailey again. But like you said, there's no one else there.
No, no, there's no one there at all. Um, and obviously, the last match on Hell in a Cell would be is Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre. Once again, I don't see Bobby Lashley losing this match. But I struggle to them, like we've been discussing a few times now. Who,
Yeah.
because obviously if McIntyre loses, he can't face Bobby Lashley for the title again, which is all right. It does it because we've had this match 6, 7 times, whatever. But who steps up? Who's next? You know what I mean?
All right, Goldberg. Yeah, no, yeah. I'm really shocked by that stipulation. I think I've already told you this because we talk all the time. But I think
Yeah,
I'm very, very surprised that they've done the stipulation now because I would have bet every penny in my bank that they was going to give McIntyre the belt at SummerSlam with the fans back because he
yeah,
had his moment at WrestleMania and there were no fans there, and I think they wanted him to have his moment and win the belt again at SummerSlam, and I think that would have been actually been the bad move. I understand it, and I do feel sorry for McIntyre, but you've done with McIntyre what you did with Roman, and now we're bored of him. Now we're getting bored of seeing that beautiful Scottish face because he he's everywhere. He's
yeah,
everywhere. He's when you've got people that are being sacked because Vince looking at it going, well, they haven't had any TV time in months, so we're clearly not using them. You know, we've lost a lot of money through COVID, so you bye bye out the door. But people aren't getting TV time because Drew McIntyre's in every single bleeding segment. He's in every segment.
yeah,
Like you see his face 5, 6, 7, 8 times on one episode of Raw.
yeah,
He's everywhere, and it's boring. So I think if they would have had him winning the title at SummerSlam, I think he'd have got booed out of the arena because everyone is bored of him
yeah,
because there's pushing someone and then there's doing what they've done with Drew McIntyre and what they did with Roman Reigns. It's pushing them to the point where when we as fans feel like we're having something forced upon us, Daniel
yeah,
Bryan, Miracle on Bourbon Street, for example, we as fans went, we don't want what you're giving us. We want Daniel Bryan. And
yeah,
enough people spoke about it in enough volume where Vince didn't have a choice, and he went, "All right, we'll give it to Daniel Bryan."
yeah,
But with Roman Reigns, with Drew McIntyre, Vince obviously loves them, so he's throwing them down our throats to the point where you was a massive fan of McIntyre, I was a massive fan of McIntyre. We was
yeah,
both elated when he won the title at Mania. We were so happy for him. But now
yeah.
it's like I don't want to see him anymore because he's been
No,
thrown down my throat that much. It's been forced upon me.
yeah,
If you was told, like I know that you're an Arsenal fan, but when you were younger, if you'd have had someone saying to you every day, you have to be an Arsenal fan. You've not got a choice. You have to be. There's a good chance for you to go. Do you know what? Because of that, I'm going to go and support Chelsea just to wind you up.
yeah, yeah.
Because you don't want something like that to be forced on you. You want to make
No,
your own mind up.
yeah, yeah,
And so I am really, really surprised that they've done this. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if McIntyre wins. What I think is enough people I think are now starting to voice their anger and the boredom that is Lashley versus McIntyre, which is why they've done the stipulation now. And I agree with you. It would make no sense. You'd be taking the title off the person who's crushing it to give it to someone that no one wants.
yeah, yeah,
You know.
yeah, yeah. And one other thing that was the Hell in a Cell pay per view. It's worth noting that there is no tag team matches booked for Hell in a Cell. Not one.
Wow.
Yep, not one tag team match. There's no tag team titles on the line and no tag team match in general.
Hey, there's no Sheamus either, who's obviously United States champion.
No Sheamus. No Apollo Crews.
Yeah. Wow.
The two women
And
title.
and 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 now they've also pulled the Roman Reigns title match as well.
There's there's the two women title matches and the WWE title match. That's it.
That's mad.
Right.
At Hell in a Cell, you want to see a tag team match inside Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
Hell in a Cell should be every title in WWE on the line inside Hell in a Cell.
Well, we had this discussion. I had this discussion with my wife. It's called Hell in a Cell, so you would imagine every match is in
Yeah.
Hell in a Cell. But it
should be.
just isn't the case. It should, yeah. Especially if you're calling it a pay-per-view Hell in a Cell, then you would automatically think that everything on the card would be inside Hell in a Cell. And we've got
Yeah.
two matches because originally it was obviously the Universal and WWE title match, but now it's this SmackDown title, women's title, and the WWE title. That's the only two that are in Hell in a Cell. And yeah, there's just like they haven't announced something for their pre-show, so we could get a tag team match for their pre-show. But yeah, as of right now, there is no tag team match. There's only three title matches on the card. No tag team matches at all. It's just crazy. You got no Intercontinental, no US title, no tag team titles, no women's tag team title, no anything.
I know that they're waiting for fans to come back. Both of us have been saying this for a while now, and both of us agree. I know they're waiting for fans to come back, which is why they're holding back on a lot of the really good ideas that they have. But this is becoming a joke now. There's a difference between holding back on the big ideas that you have and then almost feels like you've just completely given up until SummerSlam. It feels like you've gone, we have no interest in putting on a good show until SummerSlam and the fans back. And that we need something to tune in for to watch. And like you just quickly go back in your head through what we've just spoke about and the matches that are on Hell in a Cell. That has got to be the weakest card for a Hell in a Cell in history.
Yeah.
It's that shocking. That feels like a slap in the face, to be honest, to us the fans, but to also the superstars, because I get them holding back. I get that. I do the same. If you're having a massive turn or someone returning or someone coming up from NXT, of course wait until the fans are there so they get that part. That makes complete sense. That's what anyone would do. But it feels like they're not even trying to even put on a good show. It's just that is extremely weak, and you have got to wonder why they've pulled one of the biggest attractions from Hell in a Cell. Surely they should want their numbers for Hell in a Cell up here.
Yeah.
Now, how many people would have wanted to tune in just to watch Rey Mysterio win his first ever Hell in a Cell match, which, like you said before, is crazy to think it's his first Hell in a Cell match, but Roman Reigns as well. Like, that's one of your biggest attractions. It's probably the biggest attraction that you have at the minute is Roman Reigns. You're pulling from Hell in a Cell and have it on a random SmackDown.
Yeah.
Why? Like, the fact that nobody got involved. If someone had have attacked Roman at the end of that match, would have gone, well, they're going to be in a battle at Hell in a Cell. Or on Talking Smack, if Paul Heyman had said Roman's issuing an open challenge for Hell in a Cell and anyone can turn up and fight Roman for the title inside Hell in a Cell, awesome.
Yeah.
But they've not done that. They basically let us know Roman's not going to be on Hell in a Cell now. So the card is already weak. So you have the bright idea to pull the most interesting match off it and your biggest attraction that is Roman Reigns off it.
Yeah.
How does that, like, Vince McMahon, for all his problems and for all of the stupid things that he's got wrong, especially in the last 5 out of 6 years, he does always do what he thinks is best for business. He does always do what he thinks will bring him the most money and earn the best ratings and the most amount of views. And that decision does the opposite of that. So it begs the question, why has Vince made an already weak card even weaker?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just it just doesn't, I don't know what is going on. Maybe they've got something big planned. Maybe it's going to be one of these funds, like you were saying, where, we're going to get sort of spoilers, as it were, just before Hell in a Cell, something coming back, something happening. So we tune more in. So we go, oh, something might be going on here.
much anything's possible. I think us as fans kind of need to hope for anything at the minute. To be honest,
Yeah.
I think we need to hope for anything positive. To be
Yeah.
honest,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But
So
looking forward, I'm looking forward to it though. It should still be a good show.
we'll obviously have a look and see what happens tonight. But anyway, I'm
Yeah,
gonna wrap it up there. So
yeah,
yeah, it's been a good show. I've been
yeah, I've
Kev,
enjoyed it. I've been Dan.
and we'll catch you at the next one.
Catch you in the next one.
Catch you next.